Welcome guys to the next part of the defensive tactics, aggressive nullifying techniques. This part now we're going to go over terminating the threat. We've already talked about the initial thing of how to aggressively defend ourselves. Now, if we're in a situation where the attacker's this close, and believe me, most attacks, even if they start out, they're going to always end up in close. And against multiple assailants, they are going to swarm. I'm taking into account that most of you work in environments where it's close quarters already. So you have to be able to fight from here, not just from here. And if you're short, like myself, I'm not going to stay out here with someone who's 6'5", 6'8". It makes no sense. I can't touch them. They can touch me at will. So for today, the three techniques that we're going to focus on are headbutts, elbows, and knees. And not just headbutts, elbows, and knees, but doing this out of a tie clinch. And why we're doing this out of a tie clinch is so we have control of the person as they move, number one. Number two, as you're hitting, your power is exponentially increased because of the damage. The spine has no place to go. So rather than just hitting like that and there's movement, the body can shift the energy out. Here, it's staying in the body, and that's what we want. Okay? So, this assailant slightly bigger than me. This one's about my height. I'm short, so that's not hard to do. From here, all we're doing is we're starting from a clinch range. And if you don't have a bob at your house, you can use anything that's sturdy, a tree, a pole, anything that's not going to come up. I wouldn't suggest your loved ones or kids. So, when you're clinching, make sure the hands are stacked, not interlaced. So we want stacking. Doesn't matter which direction. From this stacking, slowly go through the movements. Everything is A, B. There's no wind up. So my knee to the groin is A, B. My head, and when you headbutt, and I see this taught wrong quite often, your neck is not a wrecking ball. It's not this, unless you don't like the cervical portion of your spine. It is a torpedo. You're hitting with the top part of your head. It's one of the hardest bones in your body next to your femur. So you're hitting with this part, not your forehead. You should not be looking in the person's eyes as you headbutt. You should be looking at their chest. This way the spine's aligned, and it looks like a torpedo, if you can see that. Boom, right up. This way there's no cervical damage to my neck, my spine. Okay? So far, from the clinch, we have knees, we have headbutts. The next motion, keep in mind, it's based on your size and the size of your opponent. When you're throwing an elbow, you want your palm down, okay? Especially if you have shoulder issues. You have a lot more control of your elbow than you do a punch because it's going out further. This, if you can control more, it cuts, throws in a lot more power in a very close proximity. It's almost like hitting someone in the head with a hammer. So when you throw your elbows, if the person's much taller, that's not going to work. You have to make sure you're hitting them in a range where it's not torquing your shoulder joint. So when you're throwing an elbow, it is from here. It's not this. It's from here. Round over. See? This way we're not wasting time trying to cross over the face. It's not this. It connects, either crushing the orbital, breaking the jaw, you can crush the throat, cause cerebral hemorrhaging. So once this hits, cycles up, there's my head. What you can do is you can put these now together. You're just doing a slow movement. There is no pattern you have to follow. What I suggest doing is going between these motions because your body has a pendulum effect. So rather than just doing this, 1, 2, 3, it works, but it's not that fast. I would rather you go from headbutt, knee, elbow, into something else, vary. I'm only doing one thing at a time, so I'm not combining this. That's going to throw off your mechanics. So when you're practicing this, go very slow. Just learn how your mechanics works. I just want you hitting at least 3 times to start. After that, you should be able to have a conversation with me as you are striking without interrupting that. And when you're throwing your knees, one more thing, make sure they are straight. There is no hooking. If you hook, you're going to open up. So those first 2 motions, your headbutt and your knee, are great because they're not telegraphed. It's AB. Does it even show up on camera? Barely. So, any questions with the termination part of this, guys? Let me know.